Okay, this question is all to do with indices and how to work with them. We've got this pretty complicated expression here, which involves some powers. It also involves some roots. I think the best thing to do here is, first of all, to convert all of the roots and the cube roots into powers. So we know that the square root is to the power of half, and the cube root will be raised to the power a third. So I can write this expression as 8a cubed b to the 6, and in brackets all raised to the power of a third, multiplied by 16 a to the 4 b to the 6 raised to the power of half, and that whole expression is raised to the power minus a half. And then finally we have divided by 1 over 25 a to the 4 b to the power 7, and that whole expression is raised to the power of half. Okay, then it's use the rules of indices. The rules of indices say if you've got a power raised to another power, then you can multiply the two powers together. So in this case, each of our expressions is a lot of things raised to a power. So we can raise each of the expressions inside to that power. In other words, the first expression we can write as 8 to the power a third, a cubed to the power a third, and b to the power 6 to the power a third. Because we can multiply those things together, 8 to the third is 8, the cube root of 8, which is 2. A cubed to the power a third is a to the power 3 times a third, which is a to the power 1, or just a. And b to the power 6 multiplied by a third is b to the power 2, or b squared. We have b squared. Similarly, what do we have? We have, in the next expression, 16... Oh, in the next expression, let's deal with the inner bracket first of all, and leave the outer bracket. That's probably a better way of doing it. Let's try not to do too many steps at once. So I'll leave the outer bracket. So I've got 16. The inner brackets, we can multiply the powers again, so that will give us a to the 4 times a half, which is a squared, and b to the 6 times a half, which is b cubed. And all of that is still to be raised to the power minus a half. And then finally, we're going to divide by 1 over 25 a to the power 4, b to the power 7 to the half. So one thing that we can do here, if you want to make things a little bit easier, is I always find it's easier to deal with multiplying powers than dividing them. It's just one extra thing that you've got to think of. So instead of writing that as divided by that expression, I'm going to change it to multiplied by. And to do that, I've got to change the power from a half to minus a half. So I can write that as 1 over 25 a to the 4 b to the 7 to the minus a half. And it's just going to make my next job a little bit easier. Okay, so now I can tidy up the second and third brackets that I've got, the second and third expressions. The first one still remains, so please, when you're writing down your answers, you've still got to write that bit in. So if I bring in to the power minus a half, so the half means it's a square root, the minus means it's 1 over. So I've got 1 over the square root of 16, which is 1 over 4. A squared multiplied by minus a half will give me a to the minus 1, and b to the power 3 times minus a half will be b to the minus 3 over 2. And then finally, what do we have here? We've got, again, it's another something raised to the power minus a half. So what have I got? The half means it's a square root. The minus means it's 1 over. So in our case, it's the square root of 1 over 25, which is 1 over 5. And I have to find 1 over that. 1 over 1 over 5 is just 5. It's the reciprocal of a reciprocal. So I get times 5, okay, a to the 4 to the minus a half will be a to the minus 2. I just multiply the powers together. And b to the 7 to the minus a half will be, again, multiplying the powers together gives me b to the minus 7 over 2. And now to tidy this up, I can just go through and I can collect together the numbers, I can collect together the a's and collect together the b's. If you've got two powers of the same thing multiplied together, you can just add the powers together. So in this case, let's deal with the numbers first. I've got 2, a quarter and 5. Multiply those together. 2 times a quarter is a half. Multiplied by 5, so that's going to give me 5 over 2. That's the numbers dealt with. Then the a's. I've got a, or a to the 1. I can put a 1 in there if I wish. So I've got a to the 1 plus minus 1 plus minus 2. So if you add that together, that's 1 minus 2 is a to the minus 2. And if I do the same thing for the b's, I've got plus 2 plus minus 3 over 2 plus minus 7 over 2. Okay, I can do that in any order. So if I add minus 3 over 2 and minus 7 over 2, I'm going to get minus 10 over 2, or minus 5. So I've got 2 minus 5 gives me b to the minus 3. And if you wish, that's the right answer, but if you wish and you want to just use positive powers in your answer, then you can take the a down to the bottom line and make it a squared, and the b to the minus 3 on the top line becomes b cubed on the bottom line. If you move it from the bottom line to the top, or vice versa, you have to change the sign of the power. So that gives us the final answer, 5 divided by 2a squared b cubed. Job's a good one. That's a pain in the arse.